into one of the major presentations, and that presentation will be the keynote presentation. I must admit, for starters, that this dialogue presents a very good opportunity of moderation. You know, all the introductions, even the citations of theories are all very genuine. This work sometimes can be hard because sometimes you do protocol business to really, go behind yourself and say certain things for purposes of diplomacy. But this one is a different one. So allow me just to state that the next person you're going to listen to is a distinguished scholar and statesman. He's a Ugandan economist, banker, and academician. Born 78 years ago, he has served as Minister for Finance. He has served as Chancellor of Makerere University and breeding scholars and thinkers for this country and beyond. He has gone to school, studied Bachelor of Science in Finance, Master of Arts in Economics, Master of Science in Computer Science, Master of Science in International Banking, and studied in Philosophy, Doctorate of Philosophy, sorry. The gentleman is Dr. Ezra Suruma, that is coming to give us the keynote address. And who better can we give a resounding clap to as we welcome to come and give us his thoughts on the refocusing that we need to think about. Doctor, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Domito, Master of Ceremonies. I don't know if my presentation is available, slides. Honorable technological issues first. Honorable Minister of Trade, wonderful gentleman, citizen of Uganda, we love you for all that you've done for our country. And thank you for your address. It has already solved one of my major concerns, which was we talk and talk, then what happens? We already solved that, we said. After we put our views together and we put up a cabinet paper, then we have a way of going into action. Thank you so very much. Thank you. The Honorable Minister of State for Trade and Industry and Cooperatives, General Badi, thank you very much. I'm glad to see you out of uniform. I do know that you're also like us. It's a pleasure to see you. The Chief Coordinator for Operation Wealth Creation, General Salim Saleh, in absentia. I recognize him. He was my colleague, the Minister of Finance, from 2005 to 2009. We worked very well together, and I'm glad that we are continuing to be together in spirit and reality in pushing our economy forward, and very ably represented by Lieutenant General Kavma. Thank you so much for your remarks. Again, extremely helpful in opening up this discussion, especially your remarks about what Operation World Creation is. I was worried that because I don't know much about it, and yet the title was saying Operation World Creation, but now you've covered me. I don't have to say much about it, that part has been covered. Thank you so very much. I recognize other staff of Operation World Creation, including Madame Proskovia Naruzu, our dear Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Trade, Madame Geraldine Sally, thank you so much again for your wonderful opening remarks. I feel very much educated by what you have told us and strengthened some of the issues that I'm going to be talking about. Already I see that you have the answers, so I'm encouraged. Other staff of Ministry of Trade, excuse me, I should have recognized Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Atim first, but please forgive me. My protocol, we academicians are always a bit, we don't know protocol very well, please forgive me. I think General Secretary of Cooperatives of Uganda Cooperative Alliance was supposed to be here. I don't know if you're aware of representing him, but I saw in the memo that he was one of the people organizing. Dr. Polycarp Musinguzi and all members of the Inclusive Policy Dialogue, all your strong, dignified qualifications. I'm seeing Honorable Tigo, together I think the 9th or 10th Parliament. I'm very pleased to see you, sir. I see Ms. Beatrice, also I think we're together in 9th or 10th Parliament. And others whom I cannot recognize, please forgive me. The distinguished presenters at this dialogue, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express gratitude to OWC and MTIC for organizing this important dialogue on the economic development of Uganda. The conference is an opportunity for all of us as stakeholders to exchange views on how our country's development can be accelerated and improved qualitatively. On that point, number 2, stakeholders. When I was working in the Prime Minister's office, we had to do to be educated on policy implementation. And I see Honorable Idro looking at me very carefully. May I recognize you, sir? You are most welcome. The concept of stakeholders. You know, English is not a mother tongue for most of us. You hear words, you think you've understood them, and then later on you find out you really never did understand them. So when I went for training in the UK on policy implementation and service delivery, and they told us we need to organize organize stakeholders meetings, and we did one for coffee. The stakeholders, they call it a lab. We didn't have any chemical equipment, but they called it a lab. Then I started to understand the term stakeholder. And I saw the people who were transporting coffee, were stakeholders, people who were nurseries, coffee nurseries, the stakeholders, the people who were buying, trading the coffee beans, the stakeholders. I saw all these people coming forward, and they really had a stake in what was being discussed, and they didn't need any encouragement. On the contrary, they are now the ones pulling us to make sure that we come to the depth of the problem. So I understood the importance of the word stakeholder. And I hope that as we gather, as people who have a stake in the future of our country, that we can come to the depth of the problem. Number three, I shall make a few observations based on my experience over the past 50 years, having started teaching economics at Makerere University in 1973. I know you may not believe it, but it's true. I started teaching economics in Makerere in 1973. That's about 50 years ago. And I told you, thank you, and you're here, and you're retired. Not yet retired, very active. Thank you very much. Suggested strategies for Uganda's economic emancipation 2025 to 2050. I've deliberately used the word emancipation as a substitute for development. Doesn't mean I don't believe in development, but maybe I believe in emancipation more. So don't say that Suruma said that we shouldn't be in development. No, I'm saying emancipation is important. The first item I have put there is yielding to prioritization, finding our life's main purpose and destination. I'll come to it, why I put it first. I'll come to it later. Second, moving towards a covenant society, adopting universal contracts and social protection. Three, experimenting with contracts at a microeconomic scale, such as the PDM level. Four, adopting a conservative macroeconomic role in national development, that is with regard to public goods. Number five, daring to embrace monetary decolonization. I was warned about that term. I said, but you know, I'm a radical. I'm one of the starters of NRM, in case you don't know. At that time it was radical, so I'm willing to take risks. So I said monetary decolonization. Six, bowing to repentance and humility for the sake of African solidarity and power. I'll try and go through each of these. I haven't been told how much time I have, but I'll try not to overstretch you, since you may be wanting to go to lunch. So the first item, I've called yielding to prioritization and finding a united purpose. These are loaded words. Prioritization, I think General Kavuma mentioned it earlier, is, again, I learned about this when I was in the Prime Minister's office leading the Prime Minister's Delivery Unit. We went for training, and prioritization was put as one of the #1 items for purposes of implementation. So, prioritization means you have many things to do, and you have to rank them and decide which one is #1, which is the most important. And that prioritization is not easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things that most of us face. That's why I've used the word yielding to prioritization. When Cabinet decided to form the Prime Minister's Delivery Unit and I was approved as the head of it, I was asked to meet the permanent secretaries, all the permanent secretaries, and explain to them what service delivery is all about. And when I talked about prioritization, everybody made it clear that their area was a priority. So then how do we move forward if every area is a priority? In fact, in our training we are told if everything is a priority, then there is no priority. So that's why I use the term yielding, because at some point we have to say, let us have this one wait, because this one is more urgent, more critical at this particular time. And we can't afford both of them or all of them. So we had great difficulty in deciding priorities, and in the end we came to the conclusion that at any one time we have only one leader who has the mandate over the population, and his decision on priority should be respected, and we should all unite behind it as the priority of the country. And that's how we selected or agreed to take coffee as a priority. We worked together with Operation Wealth Creation, with Uganda Coffee Development Authority, with the Ministry of Finance. Although for Ministry of Finance we had to fight, and it's very, very serious fight, to get them to increase the money for buying seedlings for distribution to our people. It was a war. But eventually, we were able to come together, and some of you may be wondering, or may have wondered, how did Uganda move from 3 million bags of coffee over the previous 50 years? I had done a study that showed that from 1960 up to 2010, the average coffee, I did a study decade by decade, and on average, in every decade, over those 50 years, we were always at 3 million bags. But now, if I am not mistaken, the Honorable General Sali will correct me, we are close to 10 million bags of coffee in exports. How did we come to this? Because we were able to come together all of us and prioritize coffee as a key export crop, which also helps our people to come out of poverty. And I'm just giving this an example of how prioritization can work, but it meant that even the Minister of Trade, Madam Sari, you're not there yet at that time, but during the stakeholders meeting, the Minister of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Trade came to the stakeholders meeting and questioned our prioritization of coffee. He said, I have 5 other commodities. Why do you prioritize coffee? We had shown him a copy of the letter which was copied to his ministry, but from the President, saying that we should increase coffee production because he was prioritizing other things. I think we were being funded by donors and other agencies. Just giving an example. So the power of prioritization means that we have unity in purpose and action, and it's very, very important. And I think that if we are to move forward, we need to really have a mechanism of uniting behind a few specific things. Because if we try to do everything, we shall not get very far. That's my first request. Secondly, love and humility, the destruction of self-centeredness. I already talked about this, where everybody thinks that their ideas are the most important. This is a real war. The PS of Defense at that time, when we said we are concentrating on coffee, said, you mean coffee is more important than security? And I could not answer him, I had to keep quiet. How do you answer? Of course, we are not saying that we should not have security, but we are saying at this particular time, what was the priority? So it requires some degree of love in the sense of giving in to other people's interests, and humility, saying my area does not have to be the most important just because I'm the one. And that's, of course, as you know, is a difficult exercise. And I think the cause of disunity, self-centeredness. Number 3, I want to say that my proposed priority is that we agree to focus on full employment with social protection. This is the proposal I'm putting forward, and I will say more about it later on and why I'm suggesting it. The second item I wish to draw your attention to is a bit complicated. I'm calling it a covenant society. There are the contracts and social protection. In the Old Testament, Moses introduces a covenant between God and every human being. This contract or covenant requires every individual to observe 10 commandments in exchange for God's protection and favor. The covenant constitutes a fundamental source of security and hope for those who obey it. Similarly, men and women who have employment contracts are assured of income, which they can use to meet their basic human needs. I would invite you to think of yourself. Maybe you have a contract compare with the time when you didn't have one? Or think of people in our society who don't have any contract at all, and how they feel, or how you feel when you have some form of contract on the basis of which you are operating as opposed to not having one. Contracts and social protection. It is important that we agree on the need for universal contracts for all citizens. The family is the most important human institution. The contract between a man and a woman who creates new human beings whom the parents are contracted by nature and culture to look after until they are adults. In school and university, the youth are in contract. Sorry, I misspelled that. It's supposed contract, not syntract. Contract with the schools and universities. But after that, there is a gap. There is no contract and there is emptiness. In the absence of contracts, young people may innovate positively, others may become criminals, others may flee to Dubai and to Europe, while others starve and die. What can we do to provide them contracts for the production of goods and services that we all want and yet are failing to produce to meet our needs? We have an organizational gap, a failure in organization. So I was fascinated when Madame Gerard said that we have opportunities for supplying large quantities of maize, pineapples, and other products in Southern Africa and other areas, but we are not able to meet those opportunities. Now, I grew up in the colonial times when at the beginning of the season, the colonial government would announce, or the cotton marketing board or coffee marketing board or tea board would announce that in the next season, the price of coffee will be so much per kilogram. Everyone who produces coffee can be assured of this price and that the coffee will be bought. So there was never any question on the marketing of any of these products. So my immediate response, Madame Sadi, is that if there is an opportunity to make a contract with South Africa or Zambia or any other country, then this gives us an opportunity to give contracts to our own people, that we will pay you so much per kilogram of maize, and you will produce so much, so many quantities. You say what you can produce. You are sure of your income, and we are sure of being able to meet the contract with a foreign country. I believe that this will go a long way in solving, first of all, the fluctuations in prices of maize and other products that we grow. One of the major problems that we are facing now is that I remember going into the maize business when the price was 1,400. I said, I must go into the maize business. By the time I was through, the price had come to 800. When I tried again, the price came down to 500. When I tried again, the price came down to 200. I left the business because the fluctuation was too much. But if I had a contract where I knew what the price was going to be, I would be protected, and the country would also be protected, either in terms of food security or in terms of assuring that citizens are having a minimum income because of what they supply. Then of course the challenge becomes storage, which I believe we can deal with. The warehousing system has its issues, it's been around a long time. I think we need to find other ways of having secure security storage of our products. But the main point here is that putting our people, increasing the number of contracts, because we have foreigners coming in to do roads, to do bridges, to do whatever. No one comes in without a contract. Why is it that we do not provide contracts for our own people? So that they are secure, so that they are assured, so that the terms are known. This is an issue of decolonization of the mind. I can come to it later on, but let me jump ahead a bit. I've studied and taught economics for a long time. We teach our people, our young people, about market economics, free markets they are called, quote unquote, free markets. It's not until you get there you find there's nothing free about the market. They are distorted, they are manipulated, there's a lot of cheating. Somebody says, oh, I'll give you this. When you come, they say, sorry, because of this, now it has to be this. You have already traveled 5 miles to bring a product. What do you do now? Taking it back, you can't take it, so you just give away your products. You have no contract, you have no protection. And it's happening all over the place. So this idea that the market-led economy, you better, friends, we better decolonize our minds and understand this market we are talking about, we hardly know anything about it. Each product needs to be analyzed carefully, but where possible, I would advise that we have a contract system for every product, so that those who are producing and those who are consuming are both in agreement on what they are going to do. They can bring their product to the shops and so on, but behind there must be a system that is regulated by the country that assures that our citizens can enjoy some measure of protection. But to plant maize when you are expecting 800, and then you have done, put in all the costs and the fertilizers and what have you, and then they say now the price is 100. And we accept this, that we are following a free market. This is rubbish. This is nonsense. And we must stop it. If those who taught us, who are inventors of economics, the colonizers, were giving us a price for cotton before we planted, do you think they didn't know anything about the market? But they wanted to be sure that everybody plants the cotton that they want, and they have the supply of cotton for their industries. You think they didn't like the market? Of course. This is for textbook, for classroom brainwashing. We have to come down to earth. If you hear that the capitalists are looking for me, now you know why. It will not be the first time. Contracts and continuing contracts and social protection. There are countries which have made laws to ensure that none of their citizens lives in the less than human state. For example, Germany. I first heard this term of subhuman. I went to Germany Vice President Speciosa Kazibwe gave me a task to write a paper on social security. And I went to Germany and met the director of social security in Germany. And he told me, in Germany, we have decided that we will not allow any German citizen to live in a subhuman state, a less than human state. So, whatever it takes, whether it's a child or a disabled, whatever, we make sure that if the German citizen, there is a minimum below which we will not allow him or her to go. But this idea of people feeding from the garbage cans in town and naked and standing on the roadside, we have to say enough is enough. Are they not citizens? How can we say we are proud of Uganda and yet our people, Ugandans, are living in that state? We have to do something about it. That is what social protection is about. Can we develop a consensus that no Ugandan child or man or woman should be allowed to exist in a subhuman or less than human state? Can we achieve this? Here are some possible solutions. One is a microeconomic organizational strategy. In economics, we teach, in economic theory, we teach microeconomics, which is concerned with the individual, company, organization, how it works, and how it becomes profitable, vis-a-vis macro, where we are dealing with the whole country, how to manage the whole economic system. So here I am focusing on the micro, on the operational feasibility of a small entity. And I'm looking at the parish development model as a recognition by government of the poverty of households and the need to increase the household incomes. It is an attempt by government to come down from up in the sky, 30,000 feet. That's where the macroeconomics is. The macroeconomics, the national economy, they are up in the jet, flying over and say, several capital regions, yes, there are capital, everything is okay, we are fine. Uganda looks great. But they are how far? 30,000 feet up. Of course, this 30,000 feet now is Kampala and my village. How are you here? Well, how do you know what's happening in my village? You have no idea. So with all due respect, Honorable Minister, I'm sure you've never been to my village. But you hope that everything is okay. So you go to cabinet, you say things are going fine. So we have to, again, I learned this when I was talking about service delivery, or learning about service delivery, that we have to go from 30 feet in the sky down to where the people are. Microeconomics, or classical economics, focuses on the viability of an individual enterprise or household. Can we explore the possibility of making the parish a viable macroeconomic organization? Could the parish be a microeconomic covenant community? Everyone eats, whether in the parish or where everybody lives in some parish somewhere, so everybody eats, but what has he or she done for farmers? Lieutenant General Kagama has left. He told us that everyone has a stomach. But some of us are eating what we did not grow. So everyone drinks, but what has he or she done for those who brought the water? Everyone sleeps, but what has he or she contributed towards shelter construction? Everyone covers themselves with clothes, What have they done for those who produce clothes? Everyone faces disease, but what do they have to offer doctors? Everyone learns, has he or she anything to offer to the teachers? Everyone washes, has he or she anything for the soap makers? If not so, why? Why are some people consuming while they are not producing? We are not talking about cash here. We are talking about producing and productivity. The purpose of the parish contract. The purpose of a contract for every adult in the parish is to ensure that everyone who eats or drinks or takes from the parish basket contributes to that basket. That should be established as a fundamental law. You cannot demand unless you supply. You cannot eat unless you work. We must program the needs or demands of the people in the parish and then contract every adult to contribute, every able-bodied adult to contribute to the parish basket. The only exception are children and the disabled who should get a social protection contract. I also propose that we agree that children, the aged and disabled and unemployed in our society should be enabled to access food, shelter, clothing and health care. This is what social protection is about. In Germany, for example, every mother with children receives support from the state. In USA, the unemployed and the aged receive monthly payments to sustain them, etc. Similar programs exist in well-developed economies. In Uganda, we have proposed that part of the oil money be placed in an investment fund and the profits thereof be used to fund social protection and pensions for all Ugandans. This proposal would reduce the risk that the oil money will all be in the hands of government bureaucrats, where there is a high risk of theft and corruption. I think Madam said one is one who about corruption, or was it Lieutenant General? I think it was the General. Corruption, we all know about it. If we put all the oil money in the hands of the bureaucrats, what confidence do you have that this money will, that we shall all benefit from it? I think we all know that the risk is very, very high. So I'm suggesting let's put aside a proportion of the money in a fund, and then the earnings from that fund are distributed to the population, particularly the disabled, the children, the aged, so that at least, and pensions. So this is an example, as I'll show later on, that other countries have done. It would minimize the risk of oil being a curse rather than a blessing. It's number 3. Number 4, following the example of other oil-producing countries such as Norway and Alaska, this proposal needs to be put on a referendum in the 2025 elections. Our lawyers should help us to do this. You should clap for it. So, I'm suggesting a more conservative role for what you call macroeconomics, that's nationally devised programs in national development. And I'm suggesting that the government should prioritize public goods. This is nothing new. Here, I think going with the Republican Party in America, which believes that the least government is the best government. Public goods are by definition the goods that government mainly provides. These are security, law and order, road infrastructure and justice, and so on. General Kaufman talked about this. Government should prioritize perfecting public goods production and delivery. Public goods also provide employment contracts, soldiers, police, judges, road builders, etc. Government must create a peaceful environment so that the people can produce and market without fear of being harmed. Again, General emphasized this point. At the macro level, every adult should be contracted to national service to ensure peace and security. This is the military or national service contract, or what some countries call a draft. It would also reduce the young people who are coming out of university and they just don't have anything to do. Put them in a national service, in a draft. At least they have, for a year or 2 or 3, something that they are doing for the country that is important. There are so many things around us that need some kind of action, but there's nothing happening. And yet there are people moving around who have nothing to do. So there's really a lack of organization. There's a gap. And we need to find a way to close that gap so that the things that need to be done are being done. And I think a draft, or national, what some people call national service, I think Tanzania used to have it, I don't know if they still have it, is something that we can look into. Now, here comes the controversy. Money decolonization. We must end the slavery of our people and nation to money. Every time everything goes wrong, anything goes wrong, people will say there is no money. No money, no work. No money, no action. So we have become slaves of money. Now, I specialized in finance in my first degree. And they taught me that money is a medium of exchange, something that you use to exchange goods and services. Later on, I was deputy governor of the Bank of Uganda, and I was chairing the committee that was making the money that you guys move around with. So I know something about money. What surprised me was that manufacturing a note of 1,000 costs the same amount as manufacturing a note of 50,000. There's no difference in cost. Because in economics they teach us, the money and banking, that the currency, the paper, has no intrinsic value. It is just paper. Money is money because the government says it is money. And it is acceptable because it is accepted. Because I know you accept it for watermelon, so I also accept it for my mangoes. So after I sell my mangoes, I come to you and give you a watermelon. So that's what makes money money. Acceptability, and because the government says it is money, it's a legal tender. But what is really behind money? What is behind money is the goods and services that are available. When I came back from exile in 1987 and joined the central bank, everybody was going around carrying money in bags. Because in order to buy a piece of soap, you needed 50,000 or 100,000 shillings. In some cases, things cost $1 million or more. So you carry things in the bag, you carry money in the bag, and you come back with goods in your pocket. So we had printed all the money that we wanted, but we are not any richer. So was the problem money, or was it that something else was wrong? Something else was wrong. Printing is not a problem. So, our youth are falling into slavery because we say that there's no money to employ them. This is the worst form of slavery. Economics defines money as a medium of exchange. In the context, number 4, in the context of the parish, I would like to see members of the parish cooperative contracting to supply specific goods and services which they bring to the cooperative store and are credited with the value of their products on a cooperative card. So if we form a cooperative in Kasherere, in my village, and I have a guy, I'm a member, I'm a member of the cooperative, I get a card. When I bring a tin of Irish potatoes that is worth 10,000, when I bring it to the store, I am credited with 10,000 on computer or on my card. I get a credit for 10,000. With that credit of 10,000, I can buy anything. I can buy beans, I can buy wheat, I can whatever is in the store, I can buy what I want up the amount of what is on my card. I don't need to have money. This is very important. But I should have a contract with the cooperative so that when I bring my potatoes, they don't say, "Ah, we don't want your potatoes, take them back." Or the price now is 100, although when I started it was 500. I have a contract. So I have that assurance when I bring my potatoes, they will be accepted, I will get this amount of credit, and I can use that credit to buy whatever I want. Now, in my area, even in the colonial days, we had market days where we exchanged goods that we produced in our area. Some would bring goats, some would bring potatoes, some would bring sorghum, and exchange will take place within that environment, but it will be once a week. Now, Honorable Minister, I believe that we need to have a store in every parish. And members of the cooperative store can store their products in that store, both for fresh products and dry products. And we are helping that store to have set standards so that the fresh goods remain fresh and dry goods are properly dried and properly sorted. And then members can come and take what they want, bring what they have contracted and take what they need. And if we have excess, we can sell to other parishes or other areas, and now this gives us opportunity to bring in things that we are not able to produce in our parish. I believe that this arrangement would enable every member of the parish to say, I must make sure that I have something I can take to the store so that I can get what I need. Secondly, I don't have to produce everything. When I was growing up, my family had produced potatoes, had produced beans, had produced wheat, had produced millet, had produced everything and anything that we need ourselves. So millet grows only up in the mountains, so we have to go up to the mountains and grow millet there. Then the potatoes are in the valleys, we have land in the valley as well. So then the people up in the mountains are coming down also to produce. You can see how inefficient all this becomes. But if I know that I don't have to grow potatoes, because if I have millet, I can take my millet and I'll get potatoes. Now, we have an active marketing system, an effective marketing system that's not dependent on currency. You're not dependent on Bank of Uganda and IMF for our trade in our area. Now, if Madame Geraldine says she has a market for millet in South Africa, then the cooperative can sell that millet, the money goes to the members, and now they can bring in salt and soap and other things which are needed, and our store becomes an effective marketing system. In America, they don't call shops, they call them stores. I always wonder, why do they call them stores? Because that's what they are. They're storing the goods of the society, and you can go there and get what you want from the store, using their currency, of course. But you can also use credit cards. I think that we need to become more sophisticated and decolonize ourselves, that unless Bank of Uganda issues more money, we are stuck. No. If I can provide a service and the value can be put that service, then I should be able to go to the store and get something. I have credit on my card. I invite you, brothers and sisters, to seriously think about this. The struggle for national unity and solidarity, I'm coming close to the end. We talk a lot, but we hardly agree on anything, let alone act. Even when we agree, we soon change our minds and start fighting. Do we have a future if we cannot find a way to know and agree on what is essential for our action, for the worthwhile life? I wish to propose that we prioritize life, that is a decent life for all Ugandans, for our children, our youth, men and women. At the micro level, within the parish, our best brains should be tasked to program the needs or demands for food, water, health, shelter, construction, roads, training, agro-processing, justice, etc. And when we have said these are the needs of the parish, then now we start issuing contracts to members of the parish to supply those goods, or even training them where need be, so that they meet each other's needs. Then every adult in the parish should sign a contract to contribute to the production of those needs at specific prices and wage rates calculated to meet minimum needs. This will start the journey to basic human social security and dignity for every Ugandan child, man and woman. The national dialogue will articulate other issues, of course. I recognize that the scope of this conference is wide. The dialogue will also explore structural, economic, and social transformation issues, agro-industry and value addition and export, diversification, development, alternative medium to long-term financing mechanisms and cost of capital, and hopefully provide an action-driven strategy or strategic way forward on the ground at the end of this noble national dialogue. Conclusion, I call for solidarity over the cabinet. Brothers and sisters, we need solidarity, we need unity, we need to dialogue holistically, meritoriously, pragmatically and honestly. Democracy is dividing us, and money is devaluing us. We need to decolonize and free our minds. I have proposed that we start by providing a livelihood contract for every citizen. That way every citizen can have a chance to contribute to the basket from which we collectively survive. So, I urge you to come out of this gathering with unity, with solidarity, on action, with a genuine contract for every Ugandan citizen in every parish. Not a contract for currency notes, but for production and marketing of real goods and services. We should also agree on a referendum to use a part of the oil revenues for social protection. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
What a towering presentation from Dr. Ezra Suruma, delivering the keynote presentation. Very insightful indeed. And if you didn't pick anything, at least the proposal that we must prioritize decent life. We must ensure that we provide dignity for every Ugandan child, man and woman. And that footnote expresses
There is no development or transformation that has ever come from outside, out of the 192 countries we have. Transformation is from within. Propulsion is the one who comes from outside. If you're a bank manager, and you are here, and you wanted to give a loan to somebody to begin constructing a house, we shall fire you, and we sit on this board. You give somebody as a bank manager, take money, because somebody has constructed a house about to finish, and you give him money to finish, not 20 back, and this account, they will be able to pay the money, and you are able to pay back. This is what loan performance is about. Other than that, we shall come and just close you and close the bank, as that's normally how this bank runs. So if you think that is another person coming to cause your transformation and development, you are just writing on water, as we say. So Uganda is a member of AFCOFTA. This is what we have also agreed with the African region. And the reason why we have done that is because we want you to stop thinking that development for Uganda, development for your family is going to come from outside. It is. You to look into what you have, geographically indicate it, and you'll be just surprised how many people come and they want you look at this, and they want to look at your back clothes. I'm going to tell you about shea butter. Shea butter comes from a tree called Nilotica. It is a tree which is only here in Uganda. You cannot find it in any other place. You look at our mountain gorillas. Tell me which other country has mountain gorillas. I was coming from UK the other day. When we reached Dar es Salaam airport, I phoned there to Japanese. They had come to see mountain gorillas. I sat with them. When we sit, because nobody could start a conversation. And how do I start a conversation? Our mountain gorillas in Kabale said, where do you come from? Kabale? Where do you come from? They are from Japan. We are retired. I was coming to mountain gorillas. Yeah, you got mountain gorillas from where? And Rwanda. I said, what? That you was coming from mountain gorillas, but he started then said, giving me the pictures. You know, we have the best mountain gorillas here. And Rwanda, you know, Rwanda charges higher. Those who are in the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Rwanda charges higher, $730. When I was much half than that seed. But because I have made the problem more noise in terms of indicating that the only ones who have the people come see mountain gorillas from the Rwandan side when we are just sharing the board. And those who have been there, you have seen our silverback. Nobody has our silverback anywhere in 192 countries. Put up your hand if you know a country which has a silverback. Just put up your hand. Toriyo. Why? Because people make noise on this, and the geographic indication where we register it under property rights, but most of the noise is made by yourself. I was in Zanzibar with the family some time back for holiday. Can you imagine finding Muchiga being in Zanzibar for the holiday? This is very, very this is extremely unfortunate. But our children whom we have had now, you see for them now is not for you are not a child of a professor. But for me now I'm a daughter of a professor, so you must take me to Zanzibar. I have to go to Zanzibar. No, when I reach Zanzibar, those who have gone to Zanzibar, you see spices, they have a garden, spice garden. When you reach at the airport, that's what they tell you. Then they have a red monkey. In fact, we drove 147 kilometers to look for one red monkey. Then we looked for red monkey, where is it? How many dollars that we pay that we spend in the area? Then they said they have an aquarium. I looked, I said, what? An aquarium, which is almost 1 meter square, the one they have, which they make, you need to know the amount of noise they make. So to cut the story short, we have two types of geographic indication variables. You must make noise on what you have. Then two, you also have to register it. Parliament here, we have an act, 2013, and that act mandates us to register those who are the Wachiga, to register when you we have our Angole cow. Let me just tell you, this is a very, very, very serious story. The Angole cow was in the fundraising in South Africa. Do you all know that story? Now, when we are selling beef, my brother Matia, the Minister of Finance, Kasaija, we are always debating. He was told to produce boats, to take boats in Saudi Arabia. And eventually, of course, he didn't have the correct measurements. He said this was one of your clothes are not the ones. He will tell you a very, very, very long story which we don't have. But supposing we said, instead of saying the word, you don't say the word beef, that one will not help you. But you say beef from Angole cow, which Angole cow we are able to fundraise in South Africa 400 million shillings, just one cow. This actual word. You don't say beef. Everybody has beef. Can you tell me that we beat Argentina? Do you know what you mentioned? Beef, we know Argentina, we know Botswana. But for us, we can say beef from what? Angole cow. And do you know what happens? The other day I was in Johannesburg, and when somebody escorting a friend of mine who was getting a PhD at the University of Nelson Mandela. When I reached the airport in Johannesburg, somebody looked at the immigration saw my airport. He said, Uganda. They said, Uganda. The man said, do you know Dennis Onyango? Do you know Dennis Onyango? I said, Dennis Onyango. Do you know Dennis Onyango? That's my brother. Then I reached Nairobi airport. On all TVs, Nairobi people have Anna Kansima Road. So they everything was Anna Kansime. I told them, do you even see the car? Don't you see that Anna Kansime is one who follows me? my passport, only 30 seconds, my passport is stamped. I didn't have any questions to money. That's what this is about. So in France, you have champagne. In the UK, you have Scotch whiskey. In Russia, they have now this Caspian catfish. In Colombia, they have coffee. In Cambodia, they have this pepper. In Cameroon, they have come up with penja pepper. And those who have been in London, it is in all supermarkets. In Sainsbury, it cannot miss to be there. Forget about the Uganda, the coffee Ethiopia has taken over. When we go to world market, people know that coffee comes from Ethiopia. This is a very, very sad news. And Vietnam professor now is on 28 million bags, and they came and brought seeds from here. You know that very well. The whole seeds which Vietnam took for coffee, they brought from here. Malaysia, the Singapore, the flowers that you can take on YouTube. Bullets from our botanical gardens here. Actually, it was the same day at the Entebbe airport we had problems with this Netanyahu's brother, Captain Yon. In 1976, they were busy taking our flowers. And you read the book by Lee Kuan Yew, From Rags to First World. On page 177 of that book, I even told President Museveni whether he has read it once they had invited me to talk to the leadership. Have you read page 177? Lee Kuan Yew, From Rags to Third World. President Museveni told me he had read it and he puts the book under the bureau, under his bureau. What is there? Of all the things I have done for Singapore, I thought you wanted to say Unity, the largest airport. He has a closed circuit system where children study, mothers can attend the class on behalf of the children. Justification of Singapore. Those who are Rotarians, we have been in Singapore in our international conference. If you are a Rotarian, I'm from Muyenga, to the crack of Muyenga. We have been in Singapore, one of the most beautiful country in the world. And there, the geographic indication is beauty. If you wanted to see beauty, that's where you go, and so on and so forth. So what can we do here? In Angola, we have our Angola cow, we have Arabic coffee in Bugisu, we have vanilla in Mukono, we have grasshoppers, the senene, in Masaka and Mitiana. We can package them. And I saw some of you were laughing. I looked at you, I couldn't understand you. That you are putting our airline. And if I'm going, I currently work with African Development Bank. We are in 5 countries. One of them is South Sudan. I'm working with the Central Bank of South Sudan, Minister of Finance, they have petroleum, Minister of Petroleum, they have also energy, Minister of Energy, Minister of Petroleum, and then South Sudan Revenue Authority. And whenever I tell these girls in Uganda Airlines, I want this sentence should be promoted. That's what I've told them. That's this Shakira's. She's our corporate affairs Uganda Airlines. Because we need somebody who can be Uganda Airlines, and it is new. You don't find it in any other airline. And then we can come to travel to Uganda Airlines. Then I'm looking forward to it. But I don't want to go in Uganda Airlines and then instead of finding there the Ugandan product, then you start telling me you're going to find there these funny things and so on. Then you have bamboo shoots. These are Malewa from Bugisu, shea butter, northern Uganda. You have back cloth, first class boutiques. You go to Sainsbury and see whether you can feel to sell. I normally take like 2 or 3. Immediately somebody is willing to give me 50 euros, 50 pounds. Very small boutique of back clothes. This is a first class, world class, heritage masterpiece. There's nowhere you can find a boutique like made in back clothes. You all know it. Except for you are just used to it. And you don't know the value. And then we have our included for us, that's why we are really as strong as you normally see Wachigas are strong, with very, very high carbohydrate, and nobody can tell me that they have the country which has more beverage than our Bushera, which is in Trinity. This is the last one. The benefits is that it guarantees quality, development of the traditional product to global market. It has that uniqueness. Then you have the branding of rural technologies, and Professor Suruma here who was talking about the decolonization of the mind, to make sure that the people in the village can also be able to have money. Enhancing international visibility of product. Everybody now has known about Kabali. Actually, my real village is Shukuta Parish, which I want you all to know. It has the best sorghum. And if you want the best potato, is in Iksoro, in the place called Chai. If all of you I see going to the market, is anybody who goes to the market here and you are not asking that potato, the brown from Iksoro? All of you, that's what you want. Or when we go to the market, we are asking that potato from Soroti. All of us, we are asking Soroti. That's what we mean by geographic indication. Except it's still local and you have not externalized it. And then you have, of course, the highest income, Professor Suruma, with these people. Let me give an example. When Addis did that,
Dr. Polycarp, the price of coffee moved to $43 per kilo. It went about 10 times from what it was. This is the beauty. Because when you say ask champagne, do you normally say in Rushikara Nyankore, Ndozaho? The way these boys say ground nuts, and you say, Ndozaho, give me a taste a little. Can you ever